Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So that from the onset I can say that I don't agree with this report. Because, Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, this House approved 400 billion to go to the counties. I don't know whether I'm audible, Mr. Speaker, or maybe I can move closer to you.
We can, Thangwa, it's okay, but you are very audible.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity, and the opportunity to say that I do not support this mediation report, because, Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, this House approved 400 billion to go to the counties, but the National Assembly, which is never mandated to take care of the interest of the counties, reduced that amount by 20 billion. Mr. Speaker, the committee sat, the mediation committee, and they all agreed on 387 billion. That is cutting short 13 billion to the counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to give my reasons, borrowing heavily from the presidential State of the Nation speech at the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, the President said on paragraph 18, Mr. Speaker, if I can read for you, the President said tax revenues have grown by 11.5% in the year to June 2024, reflecting the success of our tax-based expansion measures. The economy continues to grow steadily, recording a 5.6% growth rate in 2023, among the highest globally. We project 5% growth this year and 5.6% in 2025. Mr. Speaker, if the tax revenues have grown by 11.5%, why cut the amount of money that is supposed to go to the counties by 13 billion, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if you read the report by this good committee, the Mediation Committee, Consideration of the Division of Revenue, they said that the withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2024 was an unprecedented event and has implications on government finances. This occasioned a shortfall in projected revenue collection of 346 billion. Mr. Speaker, the President is saying one thing, that there is tax revenue growth by 11.5%, yet the Mediation Committee is saying there was a shortfall, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sometimes when you're accused of telling lies, it gives us, a hard time knowing who to believe and what to accept, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that shortfall the committee is implying happened has been negated by the President himself. So my question is, why do we reduce the amount that goes to the counties, Mr. Speaker? And very well, Mr. Speaker, Article 96 of the Constitution is for us to take care of the interest of our counties, both the government and the people. So, Mr. Speaker, I do not understand why the Mediation Committee or why the senators whom we sent to that committee could agree to any reduction. Actually, we could have asked for more, Mr. Speaker. Because why, Mr. Speaker? Paragraph 29 of the President's speech, Mr. Speaker. It says, counties have struggled with shortages of medicine, equipment and staff, hindering service delivery and leaving countless Kenyans with suboptimal access to health care. The President himself, Mr. Speaker, is aware that the counties are struggling from his speech in Parliament. Yet the committee, either they are not in line with what the President is trying to achieve, or they are coming up with their own figures, Mr. Speaker. The President goes on by saying, Mr. Speaker, on that paragraph 29, It would have been easy for me to step back and leave this responsibility to counties alone. But that would have been a disservice to Kenyans and a betrayal of our constitution. Mr. Speaker, the president is aware that there is shortage and he cannot sit back and leave the responsibility to the counties alone. Mr. Speaker, then why would a committee of this House reduce the budget or the money that goes to the counties, yet it has been made aware that there is struggles, there are shortages, there is all that by the president himself in the counties, Mr. Speaker. So that's why I would not at any moment, support this...
Senator Mundingi, what's your point of order?
Nataka rafiki wangu Senator wa Kiambu, Mr. Karungo Adhangwa, mambo ya kutanja rais wa Kenya. Shinda ya mediation haikuwa na rais wa Kenya. Mediation ilikuwa na maseneta wale tulichagua hapa, na wale wa mediation wengine walikuwa pale ni watu wa mbunge ambaye wataki kusikia kaunti zetu njia ukatusi wakipata era inafaa. Kwa hivyo ningetaka kukosoa rafiki wangu Karungo Adhangwa, hakuna pahali rais alihusisha kwa sababu amepeana demokrasia. Mwende mkae chini ndio devolution iweze kupata kazi, iweze kupata hela ile inafaa bilioni 1400. Kwa hivyo ningependa kumwambia angekosoa ile kamati yetu na parliament ambaye haitaki devolution iendelee kazi. Asante bwana Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, maybe it is my English that the senator is not understanding what I'm trying to say, but I can simplify for him to understand. What I'm trying to say, Mr. Speaker, is that the president is aware and he knows the counties are struggling. The president wants to help the counties. But the committee that has been mandated, Mr. Speaker, I wish you would protect me. I wish you would protect me, Mr. Speaker.
Bwana Masayo, nini hoja yako nidhamu?
Bwana Spika, pengine ndugu yangu aliye hivi sasa anatoa maoni yake kwenye ile ripoti yetu ya Mediation Committee, amesema ya kwamba pengine ni kizungu chake, kimombo chake ni kwamba pengine yule ndugu yetu hakielewi. Nataka kumuuliza, je, ni haki kusema kitendo in a form of innuendo, jambo ambalo innuendo ni kwamba pengine hulisemi kiwazi. Nataka kujua, je, akisema hivyo Mundigi mwenyewe hujiita daktari hapa, yeye akiwa kama daktari anajua kimombo sana, na hata nishamsikia mimi akiongea kimombo. Je, ni haki kwa ndugu yangu ambaye hivi sasa chairman wangu wa barabara anaweza kusema ya kwamba Mundigi ana upungufu wa kujua kizungu ama kimombo? Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Thangwa, unaweza kurekebisha matamshi yako. Ulikuwa unamaanisha Senator Mundingi hafahamu lugha ya kizungu.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't mean to say that he does not understand English. Maybe I was speaking too fast for him to comprehend. And that's why I decided to slow down and explain to him or to the House that the President is aware that the counties are struggling, Mr. Speaker. And because they are struggling, you would expect a House that is mandated to come up with this law, the DORA Act, Mr. Speaker, the committee that understands that we need to have service delivery at the counties, instead of reducing these amounts, we should actually increase this amount, Mr. Speaker. I was also trying to say that the President has acknowledged that the tax base has increased by 11.5%. So there is more money within the national government. So then why reduce the monies that goes to the counties? That is my question, and that's why I was trying to compare the two. What the President believes and what this House believes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know these monies, when they get to the counties, there's a lot of embezzlement, there's a lot of corruption, and as we send monies to the counties, we should also call upon the governors to use these resources the way it's supposed to be used, Mr. Speaker, to fight corruption and to stop thievery or eating county monies, Mr. Speaker. And the other day I saw the governor says that they are going to shut down counties if we do not agree. And you know, Mr. Speaker, you do not threaten a person who is out there trying to assist the counties to get what they're supposed to get. So when you say, if you do not agree very fast, we are going to shut down counties, are you trying to tell us? And I think that's why these members of this committee agreed to reduce to the reduction of the 13 billion, Mr. Speaker, because now the county governors, they are threatening they are going to shut down, and probably this committee decided, okay, instead of you shutting down, let me give you less money, Mr. Speaker. I would want the governors, with the same gusto that they were going to, the threats are going to shut down the counties, Mr. Speaker, they should come out and say how they are using and misusing the county resources, Mr. Speaker. Because monies have been sent to the counties, and when they have been sent to the counties, Mr. Speaker, you realize that the health workers are not paid. For example, the county of Kiambu, my great county, Mr. Speaker, the health workers have not been paid their salaries for the last 4 months, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Kiambu employees are not attending the Kikoska Games this year, something they have done every year. And you know that's the only opportunity you meet other people from other counties for cohesion and agreement and understanding of each other, Mr. Speaker. And they are not going to attend because, one, they say there is no money. But if you ask them, the money that you have had, how did you use that money? Didn't you budget for this? And it was budgeted for, Mr. Speaker. So you should not again blame the national government that there is late disbursement, yet you have your own source of revenue, Mr. Speaker. And this is a call to all governors, Mr. Speaker, that they should work on their own source of revenue. And working on own source of revenue does not mean increasing the taxes or the levies, Mr. Speaker. It is just broadening the collection of it. And this can only be done through digitization, Mr. Speaker. And I'm comparing the President's speech from my contribution, Mr. Speaker. Because if you read paragraph 66 of the President, actually I'm supporting some of his pronouncement, Mr. Speaker. The President said that I am delighted to report on the dramatic improvements we have recorded by automating and digitizing our revenue collection and service delivery through e-citizen, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this should be trickled down to the county governments, and I'm calling on the governors to borrow from the President's speech and digitize their own source revenue collection methods, Mr. Speaker. They should digitize tax collection or levies collection, digitize service delivery, digitize water supplies, Mr. Speaker. And you know counties own water companies in their counties, Mr. Speaker. And since I'm in one of committees that scrutinize these reports, the audit reports about water companies, Mr. Speaker, we have realized counties are losing a lot of water through the non-revenue water, Mr. Speaker, through leakages, stealing of water, no meters, and all that, Mr. Speaker. And if you look at it, like yesterday, we had the governor of Kirinyaga, and his county is losing 56% of all the water supplied to the county government to the county of Kirinyaga, Mr. Speaker. 56%. And when you ask them, they say the pipes are old, we don't have meters, the people are stealing water. Mr. Speaker, if we digitize, even have smart meters, Mr. Speaker, this can really help the service delivery if we digitize, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know counties need money, and it is upon this House to scrutinize how the governors are using these monies, Mr. Speaker. The other day, and we saw it yesterday in the news, that the national government, through the Ministry of Water, they are forming a task force to fight rats menace, snail menace, and birds menace in Mwea, Mr. Speaker. Though it might sound funny this is a huge problem in Mwea, Mr. Speaker. The people of Mwea are suffering because their rice is being eaten by the birds, called Quelea birds, the snails, and of course the rats, Mr. Speaker. But when you ask them, and I've talked to the senator of Kirinyaga, and he has given me more information by telling me that one red-billed Quelea bird can eat 80 grams of rice every day. If you multiply that by a year, Mr. Speaker, that's about 215 tons of rice. So the Mwea people, if you convert that to money, they lose 32 million Kenya shillings every year, Mr. Speaker. But when you ask the national government or the county government, they are forming a task force. You know, this government of ours, Mr. Speaker, they like meetings. They even form a meeting to discuss whether they should have a meeting, Mr. Speaker. What I'm trying to say is, Mr. Speaker, how to fight this menace in Mwea is to give counties more resources. But again, I've been told here by the Senator of Kirinyaga that the county government of Kirinyaga has never budgeted for this menace, has never put money to try to reduce these red-billed Quelea birds that are eating the rice, Mr. Speaker. And when you do a little bit of research, how do you repel or keep away these birds, Mr. Speaker? Is by using some ultrasonic repellers, Mr. Speaker. It is a small gadget that makes some sound or emits some sound waves that the human cannot hear, but the birds will hear, and it will disturb them, and they will run away. And such a gadget, Mr. Speaker, is going for 3,000 Kenya shillings. And the county government cannot see it fit to budget for such a gadget, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have known even from our high school, of our primary school times, that we have scarecrows, Mr. Speaker. And I know maybe these birds and these rats, they are used to the scarecrow. But in this time of technology, the county government should at least even give them drones, Mr. Speaker. The drones that are also emitting the predator's sounds so that the birds can feel like a predator is on the way, Mr. Speaker. So what I'm trying to say, Mr. Speaker, is that we shouldn't reduce the amount of money that goes to the counties, and again now ask the governors to prudently use those resources as per the budget estimates, as per the budgeting processes, and also as per the people's priorities, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know I'm talking about Mwea, but probably this is not the only problem in Mwea or the rice fields, Mr. Speaker. Maybe in Bura, Ahero, North Kano, or even Lower Kuja in Migori, Mr. Speaker, maybe they're also having this problem. And when the government says it's going to form a task force to catch a rat, Mr. Speaker, you ask yourself, don't we have the people who are mandated to deal with these issues instantly? Must you form a task force to go and discuss the rats, or the birds, or the snails, or even how to kill them, Mr. Speaker, yet they already know how? All I'm trying to say is that money should be used well to the intended purposes, and I oppose this report, Mr. Speaker. We need to give counties more money so that we can be able, as a Senate, use our channels and committees to check on how these monies are used at the counties, Mr. Speaker. So I oppose this report. Thank you.
Senator Stuart Mazayo.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, cha kwanza nataka kutoa kongole kwa wale maseneta wetu, hususan katika bunge la Senate, kwa sababu haya yalikuwa ni majadiliano kulingana na vile ambavyo tulikuwa hatujaelewana na ugavi huu wa pesa zinazokwenda katika serikali zetu za mashinani.